Hey, this is part 2 of Building a Country, an OpenTTD series where I'm just recording myself as I build upon a huge map within the game. This is railway, tram and bus services so far, but it may expand to other things at a later date. Now, since the last video, I've done a few things off camera. I had a suggestion in the YouTube comments that my signaling wasn't done correctly, and it's after research, it is something that I agree with. So I went through my entire network, a process which took about 2 hours, and converted about 4,000 signals from path to block. Now, what that basically means is you have two types of main signals on the rail networks in OpenTTD. One of them is a path signal, as we can see here at the big junction, the huge junction, at the start of this station. It basically means, as we can see here, there are 2 trains within this single block of track, this section of track here. Now, that's allowed to happen because we're using path signals. That's telling the train, right, you can proceed forward if your route to the next signal is free. It doesn't matter if anything else is within this section. As long as your route from this signal to the next one is free, you can proceed forward. Now, that's obviously brilliant for situations like this, otherwise we'd have endless queues. And in the original Transport Tycoon Deluxe, that is what happened because these signals didn't exist. So stations like this were near impossible, as every single time a train would leave, it would have to clear the block. Like now, we wouldn't have this situation. There's only one train to be in the block at one time. Now, I was using those path signals all over the network because I was thinking, hey, why not? You know, there's no downside to using them. Whereas there inherently is, and it isn't something I knew about before. As you can see here, I've converted these signals from what was originally path signals to block signals, and it basically is just an on-off. Is there a train ahead? Yep, well, you're not coming through. That's literally it. There's no process to it. There's no working out whether the path is correct. It's literally just an on or off switch as to yes or no. Now, that apparently is a lot better for performance within game, because every time a train reaches a path signal, it has to calculate whether there is actually a path ahead that's free. Now, when I've actually switched all these over, these 4,000 signals, I can actually see a little bit of a performance increase. So it is something that genuinely seems to be viable, and something again I want to pass down because I know quite a few people watched this series for tips and such within the game. So I want to make sure I'm giving you the right information. And again, tips are greatly appreciated. And the same chap also told me a very handy thing as to when I'm terraforming, I can drag, obviously like I've been doing, just like this, but holding down control will let me do a diagonal sweep. It's something that I vaguely remember there being a way to do it, but I couldn't remember how. And things like that are genuinely very, very handy. So tips are really, really appreciated. And hopefully I can provide a few back just to keep the tip balance, you know, nice and equal. But yes, this video, there is a little project I want to work on, and that requires me to introduce you to an area of the map and just the branch lines surrounding it. Now, firstly, I just want to let you know about something that I did with my map about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And what I did was, up until this point, I just built new lines here, there, just random lines all over the place, and each line I'd just construct a few trains that serviced it, and that was it. And everything was kind of, there was a lot of vehicles, a lot of trains. And to cut down on the amount of trains that were running, I amalgamated a lot of these services into, basically I combined services into one. One example being, let's have a look, see if I can find an example. So, here's a good example. So, there's a branch line that I had to construct here. So, if you see, it starts in Montfield. It runs up through Datston, Brentbourne. It basically runs through all these quite big towns that build up pretty quickly to this station here. Now, alongside that, I also had a branch line which started here and ran to the same station. Now, there was no need for me to have 2 services which basically go to this same destination. What I did with services like this is I combined them and made one route which goes from the start of this branch line to the end of the other branch line over here. Now, it took quite a while for me to do, and that's also why when I show you, let's move this out, give me 2 seconds. When I show you my train listing here, that's why a lot of these sections here, so if you see I have a lot of stopping services services here. I also have local. Now local is basically what I call stopping services before I completely redid my timetabling. So that's why there's a bit of confusion as to why things look different in here. It's because I was basically transitioning a lot of things over. Now I haven't done that with express trains yet, and it is something I need to do in future. So I want to amalgamate a lot of my express services, because they basically came about from, oh look, city A needs to get to city B, and then city C. I'm just going to make a service here and just add a few trains. And there's probably more organization I could add to that. So that is something I'll come on to later. But yeah, that's basically that happened. But I've noticed that one of the routes when I've done this has been left out. I haven't added any services. And I want to add services back to this route. But also, I want to try and extend and see if there's anywhere new that I can take the trains that run along this route. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add services back to this line, but we're also going to look for a way that we can add some new services to the network as well, and thus expand what we do. So we have this, which we mentioned in a previous video, Flunfingfield. Very weird name. Now this is basically where this route starts. So it starts at this big station. It comes through this huge junction down to here. And now this section here is the line of which I have forgot to populate. There's a few smaller stations like this one here. Then there's a few big cities along the route as well. So smaller. This one is quite busy because it has the hotel next to it. Smaller station there. A fairly big city. So all these, I mean, this one's got like a, how many is it? 4,000, nearly 5,000 passengers. That's an averagely sized, even that has 4,000 passengers waiting. Muttbridge gets quite a lot because that has a hotel next to it as well, which greatly increases the traffic. So yeah, there's all these stations. These are populated here, so it links onto this section, of which has a kind of small station, a very, very big city with a small station. And here we have a Fort Bronding Hall. So that's basically what the route was. Now, I want to repopulate this route with a few services, but there is a few things I need to do to the surrounding areas. So I kind of want to hit two birds with one stone and try and expand the surrounding services, whilst also providing, obviously, reinstating, I guess, the services to that line that I forgot. Now, from looking over, the one thing that I could see is, obviously, the line used to terminate here. There are a few cities north here that don't quite get enough services. For instance, this is a huge city. It currently has 10,000 passengers waiting, and a lot of these could benefit basically from a service which allows passengers to connect further down the line. I don't think many of them directly want to go to places on that route, but a lot of them require to go south. Require basically changing further south. So that's something that I want to incorporate, a service up here. Then as I was looking further down the route, we have this huge city here. So that's got 7,000 passengers waiting. But also this section, which currently only has one service running to it, a very sparse service, of which I need to increase the frequency of. But we have a lot of cities up here, and especially this here this only really has express services running to it at the moment. And I want to make sure that this city, has some extra services. So this is where I want to run the service through. Now, what I want you to look for as well is if there was anywhere in this surrounding area that we could extend a line to, because I don't really want the trains terminating at a mainline station, as it could cause some delays and affect the services along this route, which are quite important for the region. So that's the first section. Straight away, I can kind of see a string of cities here. Well, where does that end up? So it doesn't really go anywhere quite major. I want to, if possible, try and link a larger city, of which there doesn't seem to be a whole lot around, to be honest. It kind of loops back on itself. Ideally, it would be nice to try and go into some new territory. So I was thinking to go north, but there is obviously this big lake, which makes things a little more difficult. One thing I could see is maybe if we could service this section here. If we could even run like a small branch line service to this town. There is a lot of industry near here, and when we come onto industry, that could become very important. So all these oil rigs and things could benefit from having an established railway in the area. So actually, that looks like it could be quite a good shout. So as I see it now, considering the trains will be coming from this direction here and stopping here, we'd have to have a rail which would come from this end of the station, kind of loop around, go up here, head through this town here, and then either go over a bridge maybe using this, or go around the water here to basically line up to this village town here. That looks like it would be the best thing to do. Okay, so that's what we need to do. There are also quite a few line enhancements we're going to need to perform as well. For instance, this is only a 2-track. Now, if I'm going to be running slower trains on this line, I'll need to make that 4-track because I don't want them to affect the express trains at all. And down here as well, this section is it's a slightly strange section. This basically, I needed to make these stations as sidings. Now, when I did that, there was literally nothing in between the end of the sidings here and the next station, so I just thought, well, why not? We'll just make them all, we'll make the tracks just connect. So it's kind of a pointless 4-track system here, which is a little odd. Okay, so that's what we need to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start at this station here, and we're going to just survey the track and upgrade and install and just edit where need be. Now, I mean, this town in general, I mean, you tell me what you think I should do, but I was debating creating a second station somewhere maybe over here, which just services branch line timetable services in the area. I say services far too much, but yeah, I was thinking of having a smaller services. Wow, I was thinking of having a smaller station for branch line services. Now, the advantage of that would mean that I don't have this mega station, which is taking up a lot of room for potential new buildings, and obviously it's decreasing the population slightly. So I could maybe take just 2 platforms off from here and keep this for express trains only. I mean, if I keep using this station, I am going to have to expand it at some point, and there really isn't. It's going to look a bit silly if I just have a huge rack of platforms just extending from the city. So I don't know. You let me know what you think I should do, but that's something that I was debating. This section of the line up to here is okay, because trains did run along the route before, so it's definitely fine. There we go, up to here. That station will do, so we only need the stations to be 3 wide. Station there, that's fine. So all this section's pretty much okay. So that branch line, because those are the only trains that are going to run on that branch line, so they're obviously fine. Now, getting here, this section does get quite congested. There really isn't. Let's have a look here. Whether or not we stop at this station will depend on where these passengers need to go. Tranfield, Promley Market. Where's Tranfield? Let's bring up our handy dandy station finder and find Tranfield. Boop. Right, okay, so it's kind of close, but it's not on the branch line that we want. So, Mudbridge. Fadham. Nope, there's not really anything that links in to anything on this network. Nope. Nobody wants to go to these towns for them. However, this station is so busy that I pretty much need to have some extra services going to it. So the first thing I want to do is expand this station. And the way that I believe would be best, because there are no services which terminate at this station, is literally just to add a second platform just here and here. So just basically just double the platforms either side, just so they're not going to be affecting services in the area. Now, what I'll do first is grab my road tool, and I'm going to... So the first thing I'll always do is create the space for the buildings, and obviously the platform as well. So the road would have to be there. We'll have to shift this road back 1 as well. So let's just do this. Get rid of all these. Again, literally what I'll try to do is just create as many blank spaces as possible so the city can keep on growing. Right. I have to get rid of this bridge. And obviously these buildings. And those offices are ugly anyway, so I'm doing the city a favour, really. Okay, so let's terraform. So we'll have to have a space there for a signal. And we won't really need one behind because there's going to be no signals. So yeah, I'll try and stop with the transparency. There's going to be no need for a signal at the starting end of the station platforms, because these signals are here. So we only really need a space for a signal trailing at the end of the platform, which does mean we'll need a space here, and this skyscraper is going to have to go. Get out there. Okay, the road is stopping me. Excuse me. And let's just demolish this building as well, just to make sure that all the roads are connected. Get rid of them. I find it quite annoying how the this will constantly happen. You'll constantly get tons of level crossings over your railways. Where possible, I can always stick a bridge over just like that. Let's get rid of this terrain here. Create the bridge, just so we know when we can't build. Go for a golden bridge, Golden Gate Bridge over our congested railways. And let's build the where the platforms will go. So that's where the platforms will end up. We'll have to have an extra space for a signal here. And I think maybe that would look best there. Cool. We're going to have to shift these signals back. So let's try and do the same with this end of the station. So let's get rid of those signals and add the passing loop there. So there we are. We've got the left side infrastructure in place. Now we just need to do the right side. Have to shift these signals back too. And there we go. We have the infrastructure in place. Now, what will look nice for the platforms? In fact, let's just do the signaling first. So we do need path signals here. And that's literally it. What will look nice? So island platforms is what was going on before. Let's try single-sided, make the station look bigger. So if we had, say, the platforms went like this. Obviously not all with the train boards on, but yeah, no. I think that would look cool. So we're going to do that. Now I don't want to have a waypoint over there. Oh, I could have a waypoint over there actually. That's a good point. Let's do something different. Why not? Today is the day of change. So what we can do is, where's the bridge platform? Does that link up? So what we can do with these platforms, I've noticed recently, they have a bridge here, which you can use to, yeah, look, extend the bridge outwards. Whoopsie daisy. The GRF really didn't like that. It was just did not know what to do at all. Now, to my recollection, the express train should still just go through that waypoint as if it doesn't exist. Yeah, that's brilliant. Does that look okay? There's kind of a little bit of a glitch here where, I don't know, it's going behind the signal. Is there anything I can do? Behind the stairs, sorry. Don't think there's anything I can do about that. I'm sorry, I'm very burpy today. Got too much food. I'll wait for this train to get out of the way. I'll put the bench down. There we go. I don't like how there's just a waypoint in the middle. Can I get rid of that? I know I can't. I don't know why I even tried. Let's just keep it in theme, I guess. Good footbridge. So we now have a 4-platform station, 2 platforms for each direction, which services a city which just had its population reduced slightly as well. So, whoops, but that should rebuild quite quickly. In fact, let's be very nice people and give them some money to fund some new buildings. There you go.